We all know food is fuel, right? But a lot of us honestly use it more as therapy, entertainment, or just an escape. What if the reason you're binging so much at night has nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with the emotional patterns you just never recognized? Well, in this episode, we're going to break down why food and alcohol control us way more than we think and how you can finally start to change that relationship with them. My name is Heidi, and I'm the co-host of Kava and Kettlebells. I am a personal trainer of going on 6 years and a homeschooling mom to 2.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I am Charles. I am also the other co-host of Kava and Kettlebells. We are actually a husband and wife duo, and we talk about all things fitness and then non-alcohol related options. So things like Kava, Kratom, CBD, cannabis, all that kind of stuff to get you off of alcohol and hopefully living a better lifestyle.
All right. Well, today we want to dive into the idea of emotional and mindless eating. And I think that's something that we all do. Like, we all have those patterns of doing it. And I think as a mom, for me, the pandemic was like a huge, like when everything was locked down and I was home with my kids all day, which is ironic now because we homeschool them and we are, but at the moment we didn't. And it was just this immediate shift into a totally different world. Yeah. He came home from his deployment and literally 5 days later, it was, locked down. And so for me, that was a huge moment when I realized how much I turn to food when my emotions are high and when I'm stressed and just as an escape. And I think it's something that a lot of us do. And it's just about the idea of recognizing it.
Yeah. I think too that, if you are someone who is, I guess I'll say this, like if you have followed diets before, especially restrictive diets. And, I've been one of them. I've followed restrictive diets before, prepping for bodybuilding shows, things like that. And it does distort some of your relationships with food, right? So like when you get the freedom to go eat, for me, it's more like a binge thing.
Yeah.
Like I eat so clean all the time. So when I do have the chance to eat food, a lot of times it's mindless, right? It's scarf down the pizza, what else can I fit into my stomach, and then go hang on the couch, right? And then watch a movie and mindlessly eat, ice cream, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think the first, important question is like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose of me eating all this food? And sometimes there really is no purpose, and that's okay. Like, there doesn't have to be this deep meaning to every bite of food I put into my mouth, but you need to like accept that and be like, you know what? I just want to binge. It's been a long day. And, understanding why you're doing it and, being on the same page and not trying to be delusioned in that, you're doing something other than what you're doing. And so I think that goes to the idea of what is like mindless versus mindful eating. And, you'll hear things where people are like, oh, you need to just eat very slow and like put your fork down between every bite and chew 10 times before you get another bite.
I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah, no one has time for that.
Yeah, for real. I think that's a factor too. It's like, honestly, and I think this goes to like when I think of mindful eating, I think about when, I get together with family or friends and go out for like a dinner or something like that. Or I have something I've been really looking forward to, let's say like a restaurant that I really like or a home cooked meal that I really like. Yes, like mindful in the sense of like, I'm really enjoying that meal. I'm really savoring it, especially if it's more of like a quote unquote cheat meal, right? But I think, too, there is a sense of when you do eat, like for instance, 99% of the time we eat, quote, clean. So we're eating the right foods to hit our macros that make us feel good, right? Might not necessarily taste the best. Like plain broccoli to me doesn't always taste the best.
Just throw a ton of salt on it. You'll be good.
But I know like when I eat it, I feel good. Like, my digestive system feels good. I feel more vibrant, right? So when you are eating that, I think a mindful piece on the flip side is when you're eating that really good food, and especially if you're starting that fitness journey, starting to eat on the meal prep and eating different things that you haven't eaten before that are, again, quote unquote, healthy, being mindful of the sense when you are eating it, being like, hey, this is fueling my body. gonna count towards my progress. It's gonna get me to the goals that I want to.
Yeah, and I think that was a really good point you brought up, is this food is going to get me to my goal. Like, what is your actual goal? And I'm not talking, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want the scale to say, 150 instead of 160, or I want to fit in this size clothing. Those can be great things to work toward, but that shouldn't be your actual goal. Like, what is your true why in starting your journey? And really painting that vivid picture for yourself of how you want your day to feel, like how you want your body to feel from the second you wake up, going throughout your day, falling asleep at night, and really having a deep why, the people in your life, like what is really fueling you to start this journey, and understanding that, these foods that I'm eating are either going to help me towards that journey and help me reach that picture in my mind, or they're going to hold me back. And so that's, for us, is kind of that mindless versus mindful. And on the flip side, if you are just shoving food in your mouth, if you're just getting that donut because it was in the break room, and you're just getting those cookies because they're there, and you're just eating it and you're just putting it in your mouth and you don't really know why you're eating it, that's mindless, in my opinion.
It's like that super quick hit of like dopamine, like that. And then like think about how like fleeting that is, right? Let's say the donut in the break room thing. It's there and you see it, and it tastes good, and you kind of want it. And again, like it's a hard thing, because for some people it might just be like, hey, it's one donut, whatever. And to some degree, like, yes, like one donut in a day, it's not going to kill you, right? And in fact,
I hope.
Yeah, unless it's like poison, right? Unless the break room is full of like your coworkers that don't like you. But for real though, like in the grand scheme of a day in your macros, unless you're super, super strict, it probably won't set you over. But again, what's the reason behind it? Is it, again, just to fill a quick hit of dopamine? And then when you do have that donut, are you the type who's going to want another one? And then the rest of the day is going to set off a whole chain reaction? Because I know you've seen this with clients, and I see this with a lot of people too. Let's say it's 11 a.m. and someone goes out to lunch, and they order like a decent lunch, but then they get a dessert, and then that dessert triggers the whole rest of the day. They could just get back on the diet and be like, yep, had dessert, not a big deal, and continue on, but that dessert will derail them the rest of the day, and they'll be like, well, since I had that dessert, or since I had that donut, well, screw it, I'm just gonna eat like crap the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be honest, how many of us have done that,
Dude,
literally yesterday, I told myself I haven't been tracking my food in a while. I'm going to track today. And then I don't even remember what it is we ate. We're going to go out to eat. And I'm like, well, I can't track that. Fuck it. Like, let's just eat whatever we want. And so, but I acknowledge that. Like, I acknowledge that. I'm aware of it. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Now I'm getting back on track today. And I actually am tracking today. So, it's just the idea of, being honest with yourself. Like, am I the person who's just going to say, fuck it, and, give me all the things, and just being honest about, like, why am I eating this? What is the path that this is going to take me down? And yeah.
And I was going to say too, like another thing, even just like with more like on the snacking side, and let's be real, like, especially here in America, there's no abundance of cheap food. So I'm not saying people don't go hungry, because people do, and I'm empathetic to that situation and those who don't have food. But the majority of people have access to food. And when you think about being hungry, a lot of people haven't experienced true hunger. We're talking about going without food for a couple of days, and I think hunger is something that people need to become comfortable with, in a sense. So when you do think you're hungry, like, are you really hungry, or are you just bored, or are you stressed, or is there something else going on behind? Like, what's the emotion behind it? Think about it. Like, are you really hungry, or are you just bored? You're sitting around. What if you went for a walk instead? Guarantee you, probably going for a walk will take your mind off that donut or that bag of chips sitting in your pantry, and it'll get you out of that situation in a way and probably take your mind off it.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. We tell that to our kids all the time when they're like, I'm hungry. I'm like, you child do not know hunger. You child who goes into the pantry and has everything at your fingertips. you've never truly been hungry. And I think that's a lot of people. Like a lot of people don't truly know what hunger feels like. And so they confuse emotions with hunger. And so 3 things we think it's important to ask yourself, 3 questions before you're about to eat, especially if it's just an impulse. And I know it's hard in the moment, but especially if it's just a snack, it's not like a scheduled meal. Ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling right now? Like, what did something just happen? Like, what is triggering this response? Like, what emotion am I feeling? Is it hunger? Is it stress? Are you tired? Are you just angry? You know, like, what emotion are you feeling? And then ask yourself, you know, am I hungry or am I just trying to erase another emotion? So ask yourself what emotion you're feeling and then go further and go, am I really hungry or am I just trying to hide this emotion? Am I trying to escape from this emotion? And then ask yourself the final question, like, what am I trying to see fixed? Like, what problem will eating fix for me? And if you are really hungry and it's going to fix that problem, awesome, go for it. But if it's an underlying issue of, you know, you're stressed, you're angry, well, let's try and interrupt that pattern and do something different, you know? So Charles, you know, recommended a walk. And, you know, there's lots of things you could do if you are into praying or meditating, you know, just drinking water. That's a common one you hear. And it's not, the water one is one you hear and people say it for the calories. And it's not for the calories. It's just trying to distract your mind from that emotion. Another one that I think is really great is, you know, focusing on gratitude. And you hear this a lot. I feel like it's a fun buzzword to...
Yeah, it definitely is a buzzword.
It is. And I think a lot of times people come at it from the angle of at the end of your day, you know, like, oh, what can I be just so grateful for in life? And that is true. Like, I think that's definitely important. But when I talk about gratitude before you're about to like eat, I'm talking about more, just think short term. Like, what happened in the past hour that I can be thankful for? And even if it's just something simple, that the sun is out, that, you know, your kid took a nap, that you were able to get to work and there wasn't traffic, or there were all green lights, or, you know, anything small, just really finding those small little things to be grateful for and taking the time to think about that can often shift that emotion, because you can't be upset and, you know, you can't feel like you're lacking and feel grateful at the same time. Like, you can't have those competing emotions going on. Something needs to take over. So make that gratitude like the dominant emotion in the moment.
Yeah, and I think even too, that comes on, if you are, you know, a religious person, even praying before your meals and being thankful to have them. And again, just reflecting on the fact we tell this to our girls all the time. You know, I spent a lot of time in third world countries, and you know, food is not a given. Having shelter is not a given, right? A lot of times. So the fact that, you know, especially Americans, like, better off than a lot of areas of the world. So the fact that you're in a house that has air conditioning, the fact that you're sitting at a table, you have a meal, right? All that like plays into, again, just, you know, be mindful of your food. And even too, think about like where that food came from. And this is something too that we try to be very conscious of. You know, we're not vegetarians, we're not vegan, we eat meat.
We love meat.
A decent amount of meat, but still like understanding like, all right, like, you know, like this animal had to, you know, give its life for me to eat it. And just the idea of like even like throwing food away, or just mindlessly like eating this animal, right? Like that life. And, you know, there's a lot of like, I get it. Some people are probably like, whatever, it's like a pig, but other people might be like, yes, totally with you. That thing, you know, deserves its own life. So there's like a spectrum, right? How people can view an animal's life. That's culturally, that's everywhere. But at the end of the day, right, this thing had to die for you to go eat it. So when you go slam down those cheeseburgers from, you know, McDonald's and stuff like that, like, again, I think just a lot of people just don't know where their food comes from. They don't know what went into it. Even produce, vegetables, all that. They had to be grown, they had to be picked, had to be transported, had to get to you, right? So yeah, you see this a lot, like, especially like, this is why like, I get so grossed out every time I go to like buffets or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's just people just mindlessly eating and just waste and all this stuff, all that food. And again, all those products, in meats and stuff like that. Again, like, animal's body that had to be given up and it's just, tossed to the side mindlessly.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point and we're not trying to act all holier than thou because we get disconnected from it as well. But we often are pulling ourselves back and reminding ourselves of, not eating in excess and trying to be thankful just for everything that went into getting us, let's be honest, the excess amount of food that we have, available to us in the house. I think going on the flip side of, when you're thinking of things to be grateful for, sometimes maybe it's just a really shitty morning, a really shitty day, and it's like hard to find something, because it was just rough and you just really want that donut and that mocha frappuccino. And so it can be hard, even just thinking about simple things that you have your arms and your legs and you have the ability to breathe and walk, and a lot of people don't. And just like, digging deeper for things like that and just taking 5 seconds in a minute to just be thankful for your health and your ability to just walk and function, and for the loved ones in your life and, the fact that they're healthy and they're strong, and just taking that time, to be thankful for those things, I think is really underrated, and we don't do it, as often as we should.
Yeah, and one kind of last point along these lines before we move to the next point, but again, preface is saying that we have cheat meals, guys. Like we're far from perfect. We're I don't know. I mean, we're very dedicated.
We call them treat meals because we do eat pretty clean, and we are not of the mindset of you need to deprive yourself all the time, and so we feel like we earn them. It's okay.
Yeah. So again, like, the whole week and stuff, we eat, very, very clean. And again, clean for us, those are whole foods, right? That's making sure our macros are met. But yes, like I love pizza, right? I love cheeseburgers, hamburgers. I love ice cream.
Ice cream is my comfort food.
So good.
Like someone told me recently, because I'm dealing with my hip issue, which I think I have a pelvic floor therapist. It's, side note, we're on a good track. But anyway, someone was like, dairy can really cause a flare up, specifically like in the hips. And like, don't tell me that.
But I say this because we're not sitting here at like 24/7. We never slip up. We do. I think too, mentally, you have to give yourselves those meals now and then, right? Especially when you're a family of friends going out, like go out and enjoy that, whatever it is, that split that cheesecake on Thanksgiving, right? With your family.
And by cheesecake, he means like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like not a piece, the whole thing.
I get my cheesecake and the rest of the family splits it up. So you need to enjoy it for your mental health. At the same time, I'm looking more at people who eat like garbage every day. Let's be real. People eat like garbage every day. And going with that mindfulness fact, think about the fact that, and kind of like what Heidi was alluding to, you have your arms, your legs, you have your eyesight, you have your hearing, your taste, your smell, all this, if you're able-bodied. So think about, again, like respecting your body, right? Is that respectful to your body? You got one body, guys. Like this is it. Like maybe, 100 years from now when science is advanced, we can switch our brain to a different body and, carry over consciousness to different bodies. But for right now, this is what you get. This is your vessel while you're here on earth. You only get one, right? And so you got to think about respecting your health. So if you are someone who just doesn't think about what they're eating, or you're having a difficult time really moving to whole foods, healthy lifestyle, right? Staying away from those highly processed foods that we know cause inflammation, cause overeating, and health, detrimental effects. Again, like respect yourself, right? Respect your body. You get one, so you might as well treat it nicely and feed it what it needs. Again, it's also that mind shift from food as something that has to be, colorful and fun and tasty and packaged perfectly. And, this amazing experience every time you put something in your mouth versus, that's not kind of funny, versus look at it as fuel. Your body is a performance machine. give it the high octane gas that it needs.
I love these metaphors. Keep them coming. He's on a roll.
I fueled myself with the right food today. Caveat: we did go out last night for Greek food.
We did, and we had some good ice cream to top it off.
But even like I see Greek food as healthy because I mean we have your rice, your meat, vegetables, and stuff like that. Probably not too much, but I feel good after.
Yeah, we feel good. So I think that going off that, what Charles was saying, we aren't trying to tell you that you need to do these things to not ever indulge, but I think it is a really good idea to do these things to, again, understand why you're eating, what's triggering, what emotion is triggering that, and to really connect and make the decision. Like, I understand why I'm eating this because I'm stressed, but I'm going to eat it anyways. And that's okay. Like, if you want to do that, that's okay. But making the proper connection as to why you're eating something, I think is so important. And this isn't to say you need to do these things again to not eat, but it may help to limit. It may help to reduce, how much mindless eating you are doing and reduce how much you are putting into your mouth. And that can be helpful. And if that is, again, something that is a challenge for you, because the relationship with your food is something that's been ingrained in you since you were a child. And some things, we'll be honest, we will point out to our kids. Our kids are starting to notice the way that other kids and other adults might look and act, and that, maybe they are slower or bigger or sick all the time. And we will point out and we'll say, do you notice the foods that they are always eating? Like the snacks that those kids are always bringing to school. And they will notice that, they're not eating a lot of very good foods, or they're not eating, I've never seen them eat a fruit or anything like that. And then we just have them, make that connection that this isn't that kid's fault. This kid is any kid, if they're given chips and fruit snacks and, fruit roll-ups, they're going to eat it. It's not the kid's fault. It's how they were taught. It's how they were raised. It's what their parents allow them to eat. And it's what was ingrained in them as a kid. And they grew up and they're going to become an adult possibly and give that to their kids. So what we're trying to do is kind of break that cycle. And it's up to you to acknowledge what was the cycle. It doesn't mean it's your fault. You're not a bad person. You just have bad habits that you've been conditioned to eat this way. And that takes a long time to break that. So it's not something that, you should expect to break overnight, but these are tools that can help you to recognize and to slowly change that relationship, with your food. And one thing that I think is helpful, and another, I feel like buzzword that's thrown out there is journaling. And I know that it can, sound like, oh my gosh, journaling. But I think if you just did it for like a week or so, if you're having a tough time, like noticing those habits and noticing, those like bad triggers, for another buzzword, it can help. And just really noting down, how did you feel that day? What did you eat? How did that food make you feel? 10 minutes into eating it, how do I feel? 1 hour into eating it, how do I feel? The next day, how do I feel? And really just documenting everything for about a week and then looking at it, that can really help give you like a food map of how you're living your life with your food and your emotions.
Yeah, that actually kind of reminds me, I forget the name of the person who put this out, but I saw this really good. It was on social media a couple of weeks ago, and it was talking about just kind of like addictions, right? This was kind of geared more towards like men, but it was talking about pornography and, beating off, right? So looking at like pornography and the fact that like, again, it's this quick dopamine hit, and so many guys will do it in like the, depending on how long you last, either the 30 seconds or the 5 minutes that it takes you to crank it out,
To each their own.
it's all fun and games. And then, when you have that post-nut clarity, as we call it.
Is that the official term?
The post-nut clarity.
Okay.
Once the nut's been busted and you're thinking clearly, But like real talk, I mean, after that's done, there's like these feelings of like, shame, guilt, remorse, and like almost justifying to yourself and then saying, this is the last time, right? Instead of having a healthy relationship, so again, so why did you go do that, right? What were you feeling when you had to go reach for, that porn? And they were comparing it to, again, food, right? Because they trigger the same areas in the brain, and just like drugs as well, right? So again, it's that, oh man, like trust me, it feels good when I eat ice cream. I recognize that. When I have a big bowl of ice cream, during that 10 minutes I'm eating it, it is pure bliss, especially if it's like cookies and cream.
Oh boy, this is weakness.
Oh my goodness. Drizzle, like, like a little topping on there, some like little
some real crumbled up cookies and cream bar.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Think about it right now, right? I'm already getting excited. But like, again, what keeps me from doing that every day, for me, that would ruin it to have it every single day.
Yeah.
Just like porn, over time, it desensitizes people to the real thing, right? It doesn't make it fun anymore. It doesn't make it exciting. It leads to bad health effects. And just like that food, if it becomes every single day you're having these things, well, first of all, you're going to feel like shit. But it's going to get to the point where you always feel like that. So you don't know what feeling good feels like anymore. And then you're going to have these feelings of, you're going to have that binge meal, that cheat meal, or whatever it is. And, during it, you're going to feel good. But then when it's done, you're going to be full. You're going to be full just like you'd be full if you had a healthy meal. After the healthy meal, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to continue on with your day. After that disaster of a meal, you're probably going to feel the same things. Feelings of shame, regret, remorse. Why did I do that? How did I do that? That's where we see a lot of, bad habits come into play. People who will then restrict their eating for the next couple of days, or they'll, throw up. All these, eating disorders come out of it. And you see a lot in the fitness community, actually, a lot of eating disorders. A lot of people don't understand that. Like bodybuilders, fitness competitors have some of the highest rates of eating disorders because, again, it's so connected with how they look, how they feel, but they're always restricting themselves. So when they do get that hit of food, it turns out not to be a good relationship versus, if you're going out throughout the week, and again, maybe you have just, one cookie, and you take your time eating that cookie, and you're like, this is good. You don't need a whole box, right? And I think it's when it's taken to the extremes, you kind of see some of these, habits coming out. And I think it goes all back to, again, just like moderation, knowing why you're eating stuff. And again, does it meet your goals?
Yeah. And I think that's a really great connection, because it is an addiction. And I think all addictions, they hit us in the same way. And that's why the same reason they say social media is they've compared the brains and the reaction that someone gets when they see the notifications and when they see the likes on their photos. And it's like they're taking a hit of a drug. And the same thing when they post something and it doesn't get likes, and they get depressed, and it's a downer, just like it's like this exact same reaction to when people take drugs. And I don't think people see it that way, but it is. And so that's why, again, like you don't need to feel shameful, but you just need to recognize, and, if you fuck up one day, like, it's okay. The next day, just be intentional, understand what happened, and be intentional the next day to try and do better. And if you mess up, that's okay, but understand what happened. And that's just the huge part, is understanding the why. Like, why did this happen? What did I actually do? Why did I do it? What emotions was I feeling? And try and do better. And don't get in that cycle of regret and that cycle of shame, because that's a really great comparison. It happens very easily. Going off of the whole phone thing, so another tip is, do not eat while you are on your phone. Do not eat while you are distracted, while you're on your phone, while you're working. If you're eating, don't have two things that are numbing your brain. Just pick one. And if you're eating, focus on the eating. And if you're on your phone, focus on being on your phone. Don't try and mix them, because that you're 10 times more likely to just finish that whole bag of chips and not even realize like what just happened.
Yeah. I mean, like, no, like, it makes me think of I'm prone to that especially like if
during the workday, I am too. Like I sit there and just eat at my computer as I'm working. I'm not even paying attention.
for me, it's more or less like if I like watch like a movie, you know, like one night or something like that.
Yes.
And, you know, if I grab, like if, and here's the thing, like I eat for me, my normal 99% of the time, guys, like, cause again, like over the years, I found what works for me. Right. But I do recognize my patterns. For me, I already have a really big appetite. Like I can put away a lot of food.
Like a lot of food.
A lot. And, you know, like on a cheat meal, I just went out. Like if I sit down, I grab like a bag of, I don't know, we get these like sweet thin things.
Yeah.
Like there's like little crackers, right?
They're like simple meals. Well, they're not crackers. They're like cookies. They're simple meals, almost like
cracker, cookie, you know.
Okay, is a graham cracker a cracker a cookie? It's a fucking cookie.
Graham cracker.
It's a cookie. Like they call it graham cracker. They call it a graham cracker so you feel better about yourself. But like it's a cookie.
But like I'll sit down, I'll start having a few. I will have the whole freaking bag, man. Like legit. And I recognize that. It is what it is. But you know, the next day I don't beat myself up. My daughters just get mad because they like them. They're like,
they get so mad, like they hide them.
But like again, the next day it's back on track. And a lot of times it's like, all right, I'm gonna go use that, and I'm gonna go feel my workout in the morning, and I'm gonna hit it hard. And then the next day I'm not compensating for the extra calories. I'm not fasting. I'm not starving myself. No, you just get back on the wagon and you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and that actually remind me of a good point as well, is a lot of people, we won't make this about your relationship with your fitness, but a lot of people will get into this habit of binging, eating a ton, and then killing themselves in the gym to make up for it. And that's a terrible relationship with your food and a terrible relationship with your workout. And so don't ever make fitness like a punishment. Don't ever turn it into a punishment trying to make up for like all the things you ate, because then you're just going to have two really bad relationships and you're going to have to fix both of them. If that is you and you already have those bad relationships with both, don't try and fix them both at the same time. Focus on the food first, fix your relationship with your food, and then go ahead and turn to the gym and fix your relationship with your fitness.
I'm just going to throw this out there. We talked about this before, but if you do want to be able to get away with having more of those treat meals now and then, the more muscle you have, the more you are able to. Boom. Who's got bigger biceps?
I mean, I would hope you did. That would be a little scary if,
like proportionally, pound for pound.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know. You guys tell us.
Who got the bigger ones?
I don't know. Okay.
Who's got the best peak? It's turning into a bodybuilding competition right now. But no, like seriously, you know, the more, and this is why I'm saying throw it out there, like, you know, all like the MLMs out there, like Beachbody and stuff like that. All those girls.
Don't get me started.
You know, posting they have a fitness transformation every other fucking month.
Every month. Yeah.
And it's like, your body shouldn't be fluctuating like that, missus. Like, it's because, again, you don't have any muscle, right? You just focus on cardio and losing weight, and you kind of eat like a bird. And then, so when you do have a cheat meal or you do fall off the wagon for a day or two, you blow up. And then you have to go back to your cycle of fasting and, you know, eating like a bird and cardio. All the while you become skinny fat, right? And your metabolism sucks. But if you lift heavy, you lift hard, you do targeted cardio, and you eat the right foods, and you build muscle.
And you eat protein.
Yes.
Protein.
And I'm not saying you gotta be, you know, 230 pounds like me in muscle, but to have lean muscle mass that allows you to take in extra calories and to assimilate them. It helps you. It's like that insurance policy. Okay. More muscle, the bigger your insurance policy is. So when that accident happens, you're covered. Okay. It's not going to set you back as much as you would if you were just a limp noodle with no muscle looking at you.
Yes. So we'll kind of wrap this up, but there's one other, point I wanted to make, and we didn't talk about alcohol a lot, but I think alcohol is very similar. Everything we said about eating can be applied to alcohol as well. If you are just drinking to drink, if you're just drinking because it's the end of the day, I came home, that's what you do, that's normal, that's expected. Same thing, ask yourself, like, why am I actually drinking? What emotions am I feeling? And what result do I hope to achieve from drinking? What problem am I trying to solve? And I think a lot of times socially, drinking and food is huge socially, and we get that. But it's okay if you are in a social setting and everyone is drinking or everyone is eating a certain food, it's okay to say no. Like, you can still hang out with the same people. You can still have fun and say, nope, not for me. And don't think of it as like you're being a dick and like you're being rude for saying no. You're not. You're being strong. You're being a leader and you're standing up for yourself and your health. Be proud of that. Like, be proud of being strong and standing up and saying no. And then, ask yourself, what is my relationship with socializing? Like, do I need to change my relationship with what a good time is to me, what socializing is, who the people are that I'm hanging out with? If you're going out in a big group and you say, no, I don't want to drink, and everyone is like giving you mad shit for that, maybe those are not the people that you need to be surrounding yourself with. And that's on them. That's not on you.
Yeah. It's alcohol too, right? And that's a whole kind of another line of thought and a lot to go into. And there's a lot of intricacies that go into alcohol consumption, especially addiction and abuse. But again, kind of your average person who's drinking. And that's why we push things like Kava so hard, because if you're coming home and you're just looking for something to relax, right? There's other options out there that are not alcohol. Okay. So, alcohol, we know that even a drink or two, it's going to impair your sleep. It's going to stop your metabolism for a little bit.
It's going to mess with your brain.
It's going to mess with your brain. It's going to lead to chronic disease. We know for a fact now, alcohol is now linked to multiple chronic diseases. Okay. So if it's for that feeling, and I get it, right? After a long day, you want that feeling to help you relax and all that. There's other things out there now, like for us, Kava and Kettlebells. Kava is amazing. Kava relaxes you, helps you sleep. There's Kava bars you can go to where you can socialize. And again, Kava itself, minimal to no side effects. In fact, it's being researched for a lot of positive, beneficial things on the body. Doesn't get you drunk like alcohol does, but a couple of cups of Kava makes you feel pretty damn good. And it's a great alternative to alcohol. Again, most people just don't know about it, right? It's becoming more popular, but alcohol has been so ingrained in our society. All the Budweiser commercials and all the stuff, right? Go home, have a beer for the guys. It's cool.
The
cool
ladies
to drink alcohol,
and their Wine Back Wednesdays and their pretty cocktails. And it's been in our media. It's been instilled in us as this cool, normal, in-crowd thing to do for decades, centuries. And so it's just so normal for us. And, really, really think about that. Why are you really drinking? How do you actually feel when you're drinking? Do you really feel good? Is it cool? Do you have good times? Or do you feel like shit the next day?
Yeah. So definitely think about that stuff. And again, guys, I want you to take away, go from this episode of you're not going to be perfect. Okay. No one's going to be perfect. I don't know. You got to be a robot to eat perfect all day, every day for your whole entire life. And I think that would end up being a miserable life, right? Because you can never reward yourself. You can never enjoy good food. You can never go to new places and experience their cuisine and different type of, culinary ways that they do things. Okay. But again, look at food as a fuel. The majority of the time, you need to be fueling your body. Yes, it's okay to have those treats now and then. But if it's something that you're struggling with every single day and you're not really looking at what you're eating and you're just tossing back food to toss back food, especially this food that's not good for you, processed food, things like that, that's where you got to say, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What else is going on?
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we'd love for you to drop in the comment if any of this, was helpful for you. And if you have any other tips, please share with us and our audience. And thank you so much for tuning in.
All right. We will see you all next time.
Welcome to Kava and Kettlebells, where we talk about Kava, fitness, and life. Let's get Kavified.